live from the Real Guppy Dockside Learning and Multimedia Center. It's the Real Angler Podcast with community Kevin Brannon, brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Island Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. And now, here's your host, Community Kevin Brannon. Today's guest, Brandon Kuhn of Something's Fishy, Odonics, Something's Buggin', and Miracle Mist at miraclemistinc.com.
This is our co-host right here, Barry, because I'm the California Bear. And here with Brandon from Something's Fishy. And if you see one of the episodes that we did recently aboard the Sea Biscuit, I was using his product in the cooking segment. I know AFCO was like, I really like the way that burger looked pretty good. That was my diet breaker right there. I waited to eat that burger, man. It had been a while since I had an ooey gooey burger. So that was the opening weekend on the Sea Biscuit. I was doing the cooking for them because their regular cook went to a wedding or something. So I'll jump on Bobby's boat once in a while. So anyway, Brandon, go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about your product. And we're going to talk about what got you started in this and some fishing industry stuff. And we don't script it. We don't write questions. We kind of just more of a storytelling. Tell us what you got coming up soon. I know you're going to be in ICAST as well. And we met there last year for about a 15 or 20-minute meeting. And you gave me some product. We tried it out. We use it here at the Learning Center. So go on ahead, man. Introduce yourself and tell them what you got going on.
All right, guys. I'm Brandon Kuhn, owner of Something's Fishy. I invented an all-natural antimicrobial and a deodorizing spray, originally for fishermen to get rid of that fishy smell off our hands. Found out it worked on pretty much just about everything, from any smokables, gas and diesel and other fuels, body odor, your fishing boots when you're wearing them for 15 hours and you kick them off. I know I'll wake the dead when I do that. So a couple squirts in that boot and it's gone. Spray your bunks. It's great for pets. If you ever get sprayed by a skunk while you're out there, or your dog gets sprayed by a skunk, you could use it for that. I have countless people using it for all kinds of other stuff. So whatever smells in your life that you want to get rid of. Does it work like Banaka? If you got bad breath, can you spray it in your mouth? Somebody got bad breath, or would they have a bad attitude? Can you spray it on a sucker? Hey, you spray them down with a bad attitude, they will leave. Pretty much. Yeah. Guaranteed.
You got a bad attitude, buddy. You got a bad odor. You're bringing it in here. Hit them with this little sucker repellent.
So I have
what made you get in to this business? I'm sorry, show your product. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So these are my two bottles right here. My this one, the salmon color one's my tropical scent, and the yellow one is my citrus scent. And we just recently brought a new product to the game. Something's Buggin'. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's my all-natural insect repellent. It's deep free, and it actually works. So you won't have to worry about getting bit up for about an hour or so before you have to reapply. Because them skeeters out there are no joke. Them chiggers, them no-see-ums, the sand flies, the kelp flies. All those things suck when you're fishing.
Kelp flies ain't no joke. They're built out of Teflon too, man. You gotta hit them with a brick for them to die, man. They're made out of steel. We get a pretty influx on that usually in the spring at Anacapa Island, man, where it's just out of control. So that's good to know that'll help out, because man, they'd be wide open fishing and you just got bugs literally flying inside of your glasses and stuff on your eyelids, man. When those flies pick up out there, the kelp flies, man, they're terrible.
And I don't mean to butt in here, but I'm going to Costa Rica in January, and I understand that Costa Rica's gross national product is mosquitoes. So I'm going to be hitting you up for some of that bug repellent. I want to give that a shot.
Well, tell me I got you covered, brother. I got you covered.
And by the way, I'm Scotty, and I am the producer of the show. So I just wanted to, when you said that, I thought I got to step in and say hi and say I got to get me a bottle of that. So anyway, continue.
He's the producer. He is the engineer. He is the editor. He takes care of all the back end stuff of the podcast, and then gets it up online so I can share it in the next couple of hours, normally the same day. So that's
a little slow today. We have no power in my house. Weird.
Really?
Yeah, but it'll be back up shortly. So
cool. So what got you into this? Like, were you an inventor and putting together chemicals to make something like this? You went fishing and your hands stunk. Like, what kind of navigated you towards wanting to go that route? We had Willie on here, Big Willie. He had like a background in before he started making baits that really turned him into baits. He was already working with different materials, and he thought, hey, he could use this for creating, plastics and stuff. So what got you? Let's hear your story.
So I was, I kind of got back into fishing during COVID. I was a travel advisor, owned a franchise of cruise planners, and so I ended up having to get everybody back all their money from all their travels that got canceled during all that. And then I said, okay, now what is there to do? So, I found an old fishing rod in my dad's garage, and I said, hey, you know what? Let me go hop on a boat. It's been years and years and years. I used to be a scuba instructor, and I miss being out on the water. So I said, hey, why not? I ain't got nothing else to do. And that was the only thing open during COVID. So I started going fishing every week on, out of Davies or out of Newport somewhere, or out of Dana Point. And I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Why haven't I gone fishing? And then I was like, oh, that's why my hands stank. And I couldn't get rid of it. And I don't eat any seafood. I always give it away, or toss it back. And, the tug's the drug for me. So, I stopped eating, on the boats. I'd have my breakfast beer, my breakfast burrito, and that was about it. And then, every time I ordered a burger or something and I put my hands to my nose, all I smelled was squid and anchovies and sardines. And
that's wonderful though, man. That's part of the fun.
If you're into that, if you're into it, I mean, yeah. I don't like it. So, it just turns it off for me. And apparently I'm not the only one. I thought I was the only crazy one like that, but I've met quite a few people that go fishing and don't eat it either. So, I originally made it for myself. I wasn't planning on coming to market with it or anything like that. Literally, I just wanted my hands not to smell so I could have a burger on the boat, because boat burgers, for whatever reason, are some of the best burgers that you'll ever find. I don't know if it's the salt air or what, but yeah. So I did that, and then I made, just kind of tinkering around with stuff, and went down the Google rabbit hole, and how do I do this? How do I do that? Made some stuff and brought it on the boat. No label, no nothing. And then people were like, hey, well, what's that? Can I get some of that? Can I get some of that? And hey, do you have any for sale? Do you have any for sale? And I'm like, wow, like 3 or 4 people out of 20 or 30 on the boat are asking me for a bottle for sale. That's pretty good percentage odds. So I said, maybe I should bring this to market. So I brought it to market eventually, and like different people on the boat helped me out. Like some kid was fishing out there and said, hey, my dad's a chemical engineer. Maybe he can help you reformulate it. So I hit him up, and his dad was really cool and helped me reformulate it to where it's all natural and not semi-synthetic. And that's what I was looking for, something that's all natural, that gets the job done, and isn't going to break the bank.
So is that like if you said you started in the pandemic, or when you started fishing again, you've been doing this for 2025, what, 3-4 years?
Yeah. So, I mean, I started tinkering around with it. I think I sold my first bottles. Something's Fishy was born in 2022, I believe. I started kind of messing around with it in 2020 and playing with different formulas. I was a mad scientist. I ordered all these different things, and was hoping that I didn't blow up my kitchen by mixing stuff.
And it was a Breaking Bad episode.
Yeah, right. It's like ordering the chemistry set when you're a kid, and you mix a bunch of stuff together and watch it go poof, and go, oh well, where'd the cat go? Don't know. But yeah, so it was like that, and I mean, it seemed to. I figured it out. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, and yeah. I got lucky, and I've sold 5,000-6,000 bottles in the last couple of years solo, just going to the trade shows where I think we originally met.
Yeah. I think it's luck, though, Brandon. If you dedicate your time and gave it a try, I don't think you got lucky, man. You just stuck to your idea, And the reason we say that here is because a lot of entrepreneurs listen to our show. We do a lot of stuff with business to business, chamber of commerce, inventors, man, and pioneers. And it's not, I don't think it's really lucky, man. I think you just stuck to what you felt like you found a need and you tinkered with it, and every inventor has to tinker. And then when they perform and you got that eureka moment, then yeah, it's not really luck, man. It's just dedication to what you're trying to do. So just give yourself a little bit more credit, So anybody that's listening that is, wanting to do something, luck is when opportunity meets preparation, So you're preparing yourself, then you meet this guy that could help you make it an all natural product, So you're already you're a visionary that was bringing something to light, man, So, it's more than a little bit of luck right there. A lot of people are standing on the verge of, do I really do something, or do I, what's going to happen? I know we were talking a little bit on the Facebook about, spending money in this industry and making money, but any business that you're going to start, you got to really invest for the first 5 years. That's just the honest to God truth. That's where you might get lucky if you overnight success, where you just happen to stumble on somebody that's like, this is genius. You get one in a lifetime opportunity where, you are an overnight sensation, but most of the time, man, it's a grind, and you got to start in your garage like Jeff Bezos or the guy that started Apple Computer, and go, man. We started in our living room 13 years ago, so just want to give you more credit than that being lucky. You know what I'm saying? That way you don't bypass where you got to, if you're going to trade shows and slaying it, bro, that's not easy. Like you got a backpack full of demos, man. You out here pushing your product, bro. That's admirable,
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I'm still in the living room, in my living room laboratory, if you will. Actually, we're just about ready to scale up here and move on to a warehouse or something like that, to where we can be ready for pallet orders and half pallet orders and things like that over at iCast.
Yeah, that's I watch a lot of Shark Tank, and where we're at, right? You got to have your orders and your production, and when you make that to scale, so that way when you start delivering on purchase orders and how much inventory you got to keep and stuff, again, so for that, I'm sure you got to invest some more dough, right, before you start making your profit. But I think it's better to double down if you believe in what you're doing and you're willing to go broke. I had this conversation recently, right, on the stuff that we do, and I watched this show called The Food That Built America, right? So when Post and Kellogg are going at it, and these other, pioneers in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s that were bringing a product to market, man, and their life's falling apart, and guys got to borrow his last dollar but he's so dialed in on what they believe in, and then they turn that corner, But yeah, they've invested a bunch, they're at the verge of bankruptcy, man. And you hear these stories of these other dreamers and pioneers that's the distance you got to take it. If you really believe in it, right? You got to, like Nipsey said, you got to go all money in, and when you start to grow and scale, some people, again, don't want to shake the dice and bet on themselves. They want to, either hold off. So that's why it's good to just lay that out on part of our show. And the real talk right here, man, is because, and having you as a guest is, the people that are listening, man, right now, bro, it's a dreamer's era. There's a new niche. If it's digital, the gatekeepers, you got e-commerce, there's all these different ways of networking that you can push your product that wasn't available before, how much social networking you want to do. So just, again, for our listeners, but even though we're talking fishing and what we're doing, I'm kind of laying it out for entrepreneurs too, man, and visionaries and people that are, thinking about doing something out of their living room, do it.
100%. No, that's 100% accurate on that one. I can't explain enough to people that, you better have some savings ready for you, because no one else is going to give you just, hey, here's $100,000, here's $50,000, without showing some kind of industry shaking product. And show that you actually, hey, look, I've actually sold this many of them already. People just don't give you money for,
but if they give you that, if they give you that money, though, if we're going to keep it the topic right here, are they giving you that money for a percentage of the business, or you mean on a purchase order that somebody's making an order for that, or they're giving you that money as like a partner?
Well, it could be any of those or a combination of them. I have a couple small investors and partners and stuff like that. And, I didn't really have to give up much of my percentage of my company, just because they stood behind the product, and they would rather, have an executive position and hope that, we bring in a bunch of money together, and then take a salary. Some so they definitely want a little bit of equity. I'm not going to lie. But it's not like Shark Tank where, they're asking for, 250,000 for 51% of my company or something like that. So it's nothing like that, but 5% here, 3% there. It's what you got to do as a business owner, just to stay afloat and get to the next level and scale up.
Yeah, I know. Again, watching that show and again, this part of just we'll keep it moving about like ICAST and stuff, but there's certain ways about going about business. I said that if somebody was to come in and I'd give up like 30. If you were to come in and help, and I still had a majority and I didn't have to do as much work, because I look at for myself, like multiple streams of revenue, right? So that you got this up and running and it's doing its thing, that you can invest some of the capital you made from that deal into something similar or deal. Because once you get, it's like buying a house, man. Once you get your first one, when you're real estate and you start stacking it up, then you can start broadening that portfolio, so that you do have investors, but you're all making something together that's reasonable, without selling your soul or giving up control, if you go that route. But just something again to mention as far as like what it takes in especially this industry. This is a old industry, fishing. There are some people that have been in alliances for quite a few decades. But I know that they also help support the industry too. That's part of it. Being an ambassador of this fishing industry is something I think is all of our responsibility. Not just we do make money, but I think we have an obligation to our industry to make sure that it's important too. You have CCA, you have lobbying, you have a lot of stuff that goes on in California that takes coalitions to go after. And I just think it's whether you're a bass guide, selling product, whatever we're doing. I just think for our industry's sake, if you're a basketball player, you go to other countries so that you're bringing in, you're bringing an ambassador to the sport that you're playing in and the industry that you're in. And I think our industry could use some of that. And I think that's how we help grow our name recognition and our brand recognition in this industry as well, just from what I've seen in over a decade,
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm 100% behind that. I always donate my product to like places like Friends of Rolos and Mission Fish and Fish for Life, things like that, where they're taking kids out fishing, taking vets out to heal, actually like doing something other than just catching fish. It's a bigger purpose. And I'm all about showing some love for those people. Because we are a veteran-owned company as well, so we understand about PTSD and what it does and how it tears apart families as well. So if I could help donate some of my products so where they could sell it and take another vet out fishing or take a kid out fishing or stuff like what you do, and help educate things like that. It's that's what's we need to push this in the next generation. To push it for the future, for the better.
Fishing has a lot more, just outdoor recreation in general, being on a boat. We're having this talk today because where we live at in this harbor, you could have probably like maybe 10, no more than 20% of the yachts that are in our harbor are fishing vessels. We all use the ocean, but in different ways too, but fishing does have this outdoor activity. And that's what I like about some of the organizations that we support is that, to showcase that it's not about catching exotic, some fishing in an exotic location, some big game fishing, that just that fellowshipping and being out in nature is something to get behind. I was just in DC and that was something we talked about in the sanctuaries. This is just like, how do we really support this outdoor recreation on the water, in this blue planet and this blue economy. And again, that's something that is getting a lot more. But I think, again, part of the fishing industry showcasing more of that, like our show does, catching memories and who you're with out there, again, versus like, oh, I got this, expensive bass boat and I'm fishing for this or, things like that. And making it look like it's a glamorized kind of a sport where it's really, again, more about that time that we spend and the memories that we catch and the people that we're doing it with. So that's cool that you support those others. I know, did you had a booth too at the local show here in Ventura?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
How was that? How was that for you getting ready for ICAST? How was that as far as you were at ICAST last year? Kind of give me your give me your let me turn my phone off. Gotta turn my ringer off. Sorry, that text threw me off. It's our grant writer. Do you know what this number's? Yeah. Like a local show versus ICAST and what you've seen. I know you're down at the PCS show, as a whole, you know, as show season goes, but you know, a show that's open to the public where you get a chance to deal with them versus a iCast we're going to talk about in a little bit about far as like going in right in front of, because there's a lot of Shark Tank moments there. You might have Bass Pro or somebody else or these other ones come up and say, hey, we want to buy you right out for X amount, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, I'm actually already in talks with some guys over at Bass Pro to get it in the local shops here in Rancho and in Irvine. I've been trying to deal with that and just deal with the insurance, and you know, it's pretty gnarly when you start getting into big box companies and you know all the requirements that they demand. And so I'm just trying to fulfill those obligations right now to get into Bass Pro. But yeah, no, I've already been in talks with them for a minute now. But you know, for the consumer business, the consumer fishing shows versus like the industry shows like iCast, it's night and day. You know, it's fun to see families come through, and you see the next generation or 2 generations later that are gonna be fishermen and fisherwomen, and you know guys and women of you know, say our age range are taking their kids in and showing them everything, and they stop by the booth, and everyone was amazed that you know it gets, you know, this product gets rid of the smells of all that stuff. And I'll be honest, a lot of kids, from what I found out, they didn't like fishing because of the same reason I didn't, the smell in your hands. So if you can, and some of them don't care, they really don't, and it's really funny to watch. But a lot of them, they're like, ew, that's gross. And then you literally spray them and they're like, okay, I'm all over it. Let's do it. And so you just see that extra drive going to hyperdrive, and it's pretty cool. You know, and it is nice to see the, you know, as I do it, as I've been in the industry now for a couple of years, I've done recurring shows, and it's nice to see all the people that come back saying, hey, that product is amazing. It works. I need more. And I want to buy some for, say, you know, stocking stuffers, or I want to give them to all my friends and this and that. And that's when I know that, hey, I made a difference in that person's life, is that when they're ready to buy, you know, 5-10 bottles. And, you know, I have some videos of people literally buying a case and stuff like that and saying, oh, I'm passing it around to everybody, or, hey, I'm stocked up for the year. And I'm like, wow, all right, cool. Like, I have construction guys using it, like everyone, like, and the cool thing about fishermen is that we do all walks of life. So they're, you know, the people that figure out that, hey, this stuff works on everything, they literally take it out of their tackle box, or they buy a couple extra, one for their trucks, one for their homes, one for their business stuff, you know, one for the diaper bag, one for the, you know, next to the cat box, whatever, you know, I mean, and it's kind of interesting to see this progression. And you know, it's nice. I like it.
I don't know, man. I think you're ready for a Shark Tank, bro. If you were to take that pitch that you just gave me right now, and you were saying this wasn't just for fishermen, you didn't isolate it, and you just gave that, I'm sure Mr. Wonderful or somebody would jump on you with a 20% deal in the box store and distribution. Just something to consider, man. If you got that many, that's great that you're not just isolating yourself in that, man. That testimony that you just gave right now, bro, that was a pitch, man. That's really neat. So do you do any other, is there any other shows there, or any other industry type of events that you could showcase that you are doing besides just fishing shows with that? That's a great answer, man.
Yeah, no, I've actually kind of stepped outside of the fishing industry for a couple shows now, doing the Overlander shows, because those guys, I don't know if you if your fans know what Overlanders are, but all the guys going camping and backpacking and you know, fifth wheels and trailers and all that stuff that's off road. You know, no campgrounds, none of that stuff, no running water. You know what I mean? It's whatever you bring out there is what you got.
So is it like go ahead. I got a question though. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, a lot of those guys have ATVs, motorcycle, you know, dirt bikes, stuff like that. And they're fueling up their vehicles, and they always get fuel on their hands, and they're in the middle of nowhere. They only have a certain amount of water that they could use. And so if you spray my spray on it, boom, the gas is gone, the diesel's gone, and you could go back to enjoying your meal or your ride or whatever, not smelling like a fuel dock.
But does it clean too? So my question was like, so is it kind of people are using it as a sanitation as well
Correct.
as an odor? You know what I mean? Because I know since the pandemic, sanitize, and that's why I kind of giggled when you said the kids are like you, because you got these parents that run around with sanitizer for the kids, like your immune system's shot. They don't let them touch nothing. They start wiping their boogers out their nose. Like there's not this like grittiness no more to where sanitizer goes on everything now since the pandemic. So again, if you're able to capitalize on everybody's germ phobia as well as the odor issue, that you can, you're really maximizing your space, man.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Everyone seemed to forget that Mother Nature made its own cleansers and cleaners and sanitizers, and this is alcohol free, so you're not going to sit there and burn your hands if you have a cut or a scrape or something. And like you said, it doesn't it's not going to make it to where you'll end up getting sick every other day because your immune system is low and or non-existent because you're not letting it fight off things. This does clean. It's just like I take it everywhere when I travel. The reason why I make them 2-ounce bottles, like I said before, I owned a travel agency, and when I travel, TSA won't mess with you. So you can keep it in your pocket and your bag right there. And if you're like me and you don't want to pay the extra money to them, and you just step in the little yellow circle that everyone else steps in, I don't know what they got on their feet or their sandals or their shoes or whatever. So I'm always spraying my shoes out and spraying my feet before I put them back in, and I don't have to worry about their foot funk. Excuse me.
You got to get to the bowler shop next, bro, so they can spray it in bowling shoes to make sure. Now going back real quick to the alcohol thing, as a fisherman, we believe there's certain toxic things that deter fish from eating. So like sunscreen, again, sanitizer, cigarette smoke. If you smoke cigarettes and then you go to touch a bait, that smell deters the fish from wanting to. It's an unnatural odor when you use things like sanitizer, which some people do. And it's funny on the boat, you want to, can I come in and wash my hands before I eat and stuff? And I'm like, you're fishing. I remember taking a lick and I got Cheeto on my finger and there's squid underneath it. I'm like, man, that's fishing. You know what I mean? That reminds you of like, we're primitive, man. You know what I'm saying? Some of it is that. So sometimes, I like it. I know it has a purpose, but again, when we would stay away from sanitizers and stuff, it's just because, again, or when you get the spray, like you just take the sunscreen and like apply it, and then you go to grab bait. I remember a guy would grab a handful of squid strips and like 2 anchovies, and he would wash his hands in the bait well. That way, anything that was on his hands before he started touching bait was all gone. Like he washed his hands with bait. So that way, every bait that he touched and put on his hook smelled like bait. It didn't have anything, especially when it came to the sunscreen and stuff. He was like, you don't ever touch sunscreen and then touch your bait because of that alcohol smell,
Yeah, no, that's a great. I'm glad you mentioned all that because, like I said, this will get rid of cigarette smoke, cigar smoke, or any other smokables, if you will. So it'll literally it'll get rid of all of that off your hands.
If you're touching your meth pipe before you fish,
I mean, like I wasn't going that direction, but yeah, I mean, I guess.
I heard a guy say one time you got to be lit.
Flowers, but
he said you got to be lit to get bit, and that dude was lit, dog. So.
Well, hey, if you're not lit when you get bit, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, some people say the tug is the drug, but you got to be lit to get bit. He said.
Otherwise, you'll just be bored.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this works for sunscreen. It works for any smokables. It works for food. It'll actually hide your human scent too. So I even have hunters that use this to hide their scent and to when they're done with their kill. I don't care if you're fishing, you're hunting. You're cutting up an animal and it stinks. And people use this stuff afterwards to get rid of that death smell on them. I've had butchers use it for that. Where people won't shake their hands because they smell that bad. And they're like, dude, I wash them all the time and I still can't get rid of it. And I'm like, dude, I got rid of it in 10 seconens.
What about our mechanics? We used to have a homie Pepe,
yep.
And we told him his cologne was like 1030 because that always smelled like oil, changing oil, you know what I'm saying? And his hands always had like,
yep.
It looked like squid ink in there and stuff. But he was about his business. It was just like a joke and shit. Like, Pepe, you smell like 1090, bro. That's your. And even when he'd meet us after work, to go hang out, he would just come from meet us for hang out and drink and stuff, at a club or a bar, and he would just come straight there with smell like hardworking man, so that's good, right? Smell like responsibility if you really want to know.
Hey,
does it work
diesel
for mechanics?
Is that man's cologne, right?
Yeah. Smell like success. Like, baby, you buy me a drink, you smell like you got money in your pocket.
Right. But no, actually, like I said before, this works on fuel. So I do have a lot of mechanics that use it, whether they're diesel or non-diesel. This works really well to get rid of diesel. I've had so many people tell me that nothing gets rid of diesel, but they said, I don't know what you put in your product, but it got rid of it in seconds. And I said, I happy accident. I only wanted to have not smelly like fish. So
was there something in your you never been spices that, like, when you got lucky, do you think it's like the formula that you came up with that was just, is that the lucky part, like that you were able to, like, and when you said you got to, again, I'm a tinkerer too, so when you come across, you didn't just randomly pick, did you have like a strategy on the products that you did pick that, again, you just happened to hit all these, these what would you call it, dissolvables or something? Oh, hold on, I'm gonna move my microphone. Like, you know what I mean, as far as putting the right ingredients in your secret spices to be able to cover so many different odors.
Well, I mean, like I said, I was just trying to do something for myself. I wasn't trying to bring this to the market. I was just trying to work on my own problem and get rid of that fishy smell. I don't really care. I love the smell of gasoline. I don't like the smell of diesel, but it was never really a problem because my truck is a gas truck, not a diesel truck. You know what I mean? I don't have a boat to where I'm filling with diesel all the time, or a big rig or anything like that. So that wasn't a problem for me, but the cigarette smell, like, I'm an ex-smoker, and I can't stand smelling like an ashtray. Can't stand it. And other people, that they use it for that too. But the way I kind of got lucky with this, to answer your question, is I ordered about 400 different essential oils, little samples, and I ordered a couple, all these beakers and whatever, and my whole kitchen table literally looked like a little mad scientist section with all these different, hey, 15 drops of this, 3 drops of that, 5 drops of this, 12 drops of that, and like all these different things, and I wrote them everything down. And then I'm like, okay, well, that smells good. That smells good. That smells horrible. You know what I mean? Like, and I was playing that game until I found a couple that smelled really good. And I'm like, okay, those smell good. Now let's see if they get rid of any smells. And then, most of them didn't get rid of anything. They just smelled good. Like you said, a perfume or a cologne or something like that. And then one of those samples, it got rid of the garlic and onions, as we're always chopping up garlic and onions to cook with, and our hands smelt like for like 2 days. So that was one of the things before I said, hey, if it doesn't get rid of garlic or onions, it's not going to get rid of fish or squid or anything else. So I kind of did that, and I'm like, oh, wow, hey, we got rid of the garlic. That's really hard to do. Now let's go to the cat box. Oh, wow, it worked on that. Okay, now let's go take it out for fishing. Oh, wow, it worked on that. Okay, cool. I think we have a winner. And then that's kind of, and then, as the seasons changed, I started having issues with the finger pump sprayers jamming and, things like that, like stuff separating. And I'm not a chemist, so I got lucky. Like I said, on the boat, there was a guy that was on the boat that said his dad was a chemical engineer. And he literally, in about 3 minutes, was able to reformulate my spray. And I end up, using about 4 of his products that, like I said, are all natural. And I couldn't be happier with the final product on that. And, and then I had guys out in Florida that worked for the city. They were using the yellow one, the citrus version. And they were saying, hey, when I'm using it, and they started using it because they were getting yelled at saying that, hey, their truck smells like fish. So that, they were either on their lunch breaks or in the morning.
The fishermen were getting in trouble because their trucks smelled like fish?
No, they work for the city, right? So they're off in their city trucks or the county trucks. And so they're stopping off on their breaks and fishing. And then, they turn in their truck, and the next day someone else uses that truck, and they're saying, hey, man, it smells like fish, dude. What's going on? And so the guy started using my spray to get rid of the fishy smell so he would stop getting messed with. And then he said, hey,
man, being at work and taking a break to fish. Florida's so lucky.
Yeah,
Florida's
rough
got
life, right?
Got the best freaking fishing. You can pull over anywhere in Florida and catch a fish. You can catch a peacock bass if you drop it in the sewer system over there, man. Anyway, go ahead. I was like, wait a minute.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's kind of, he said, hey, I'm not getting bit up by mosquitoes anymore once I start using the spray. And I said, really? So I started down the Google rabbit hole again and saying, what in my product is like a mosquito repellent? And then I found a couple things, and same thing with finding out for fish attractants. You were saying like, hey, well, this stuff deter people from the fish from biting. It actually does the opposite. it'll keep them biting. There's a couple happy accident chemicals in there that I had no idea were fish attractants.
So you can spray it on a plastic, you're telling me? I should spray it on the plastic this weekend when I go to the lake?
I mean, like, you can, like, I don't know if they're gonna like be attracted to it, but they don't get deterred from it, is my point. Okay. I had a chemical engineer come by the booth at the PCS show, actually, and he was starting to ask me what the pH was, and I said, "What are you, a chemist or something?" He said, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "Well, why are you asking?" And he said, "Well, I told him the pH." And he said, and he got all like a kid in a candy shop, and I said, "What did I say right?" And he said, "Oh, dude, that pH is a fish attractant. So anything that's about a 7.0 is a fish attractant." I said, "Oh, I'll take your word for it."
Yeah, being in pest control, me and Scotty here, you could use a lot of the Bear products, or like mosquito repellent is oil Valet. So there's these things where they just modify a molecule or two, and it becomes, because in that industry they shelf something, right? They put on the shelf, takes like 7 years for it to become EPA certified. But in the meantime, they can make a couple of changes, and now it becomes a hand product. Then it does this by just, again, the chemist maneuvering around a couple of molecules or a backpacking agent, it becomes something else, so you could do it with different skincare products, again, that you could use for insect repellent or to kill them or whatever. So yeah, I've heard similar in the industry that we were in, when you have chemists that break it down. So does that mean you have a Shark Tank question? Do you have a patent on this joint pending or something, so that way nobody can run up on you? And because it's not like you hit the jackpot, bro. I think you're ready for Shark Tank. I mean, fishing is great, brother, but if you could diversify that thing, bro, and get on all these other ones, again, especially educate. I don't know, again, germs are there. Everybody's afraid of germs right now. So you have like that market of moms that you could get, mother tested, parent approved, right? To hunter endorsed, to mechanics love it, bro. Like if you start pushing that, can I get 10%? I'll invest in your company, bro. If you start going that direction, I'll take that 5%, bro. What you need, and we start helping you market it that direction. I want some of that action. I see it coming.
Hey, we have this recorded, right? So I don't want to hear no backing out of this.
I'm ready to invest, bro. I'm trying to put something on it.
Let's do it. Hey, well, let's meet up and let's talk shop. But yeah, no, I mean, this stuff works for every industry. I haven't found something that it hasn't worked on. And trust me, I've asked people to find stuff it doesn't work on, so I can tell people it doesn't work on everything. It only works on almost everything. Yeah. Like literally, like we've tried it on 100 different things, and it's worked for dang near everything.
Jesus Christ. I want in, Brandon.
Well, hey, you have a couple bottles of it. Start playing around. Did you see the video that we posted when somebody sent me it saying that, it works better than WD-40 as a penetration oil? I said, get out of town. No way. And I literally
I ain't touching that joke, bro. I ain't walking into that one.
No, I swear I swear, dude. Like we even did it on my last charter. Someone had a rusty pair of pliers, and we put some napkins down and we sprayed it down, and sure enough, like it's covered in rust.
What's that dude's name? Hold on. The guy that does the little smack it thing. It works here, it works there, bro. I forgot his name. I think he went to jail for being
the Sham Wow guy.
Is that him? Yeah, bro. You got the Sham Wow for hand sanitizer, bro.
Minus the woman beating. I don't beat women.
Yeah, he went. Yeah, but I could be the guy. Community Cab would come in their house and be like, "It works on everything."
Hey, even works for women too. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Front to back, keep the hood down. You know the drill.
Wow, I'm telling you, bro. We can go platinum.
That's
good, though, man. That you're out there. We met last time. We were both on foot last year. We'll both have boosts this year at iCash. Today they said they're supposed to release the database for free. Did you hear that?
I did not hear that. I've been getting nothing
man, because I had to email them and say, look, I'm getting approached by 5 or 6 people a day asking about this. If I want to buy the database, you guys ain't got it yet. You're like, it'll be released tomorrow for free. So we'll see what happens. I'll email her because I'm going to do the bunkers and lunkers on Monday. I want to go rub elbows with the some other CEOs,
I wanted to do that. They were sold out of that in the industry breakfast.
Already?
That's what they said when I asked.
I asked about the industry. Well, we had to wait until we had our fundraiser last Sunday. So that's the thing about nonprofit is I had to make sure that we had to put money in the bank before I start spending anything extra. So I have to get hold of Glenn Hughes directly. Say, hey, Glenn, it's Kev. Put me on a team, bro. And then usually when you go, can I give you a little tip on the industry breakfast? Go linger by the door. They'll let you in. If they're sold out, just go to the morning of. and say, hey, I couldn't get a ticket. Anybody not show up? And they're like, yeah, somebody didn't make it. Go to table 19. Seriously, I got into 2 breakfasts without buying tickets. Just go to the breakfast, man, and linger at the door.
I'll see you at the breakfast then.
Yeah, they'll let you in. They'll let us in. How's that? Seriously.
I like it.
Yeah, just go there and linger in front of the door, bro. They'll find a spot for you to sit.
Will do.
And then Thursday night, we're going to be on the second story. They're going to put us out as one of the nonprofits for like the industry display. There's like 15 awesome. Nonprofits up there for everybody to come check out for the happy hour. And then Friday, I'm doing some work with, I guess we're bringing like 200 school students in. So they're going to be doing some kid thing. And they asked me to participate in that too. So we're looking forward to maximizing ours. But see, the same thing I'm telling you, man, is what we're doing. So we hired my son, Kevin Jr. It's funny because they're going to be like, Kevin Brannon's on the phone, or Kevin Brannon's here to see you. And they're going to walk out and look. Where's Kev? Like, oh, not community Kev. Kevin Brandon Jr. is here to talk to you, right? But we're really going to be pushing our children's workbooks in all kinds of different areas, man, from our public school system here to the fishing industry to tackle shops, but also to, educational institutions, Barnes and Noble. You know, again, why just stick to just because I do a fishing show? Like, how do I take my product and get it into all these different markets? You know, if we can get endorsed by teachers across the America, that, you know, my workbooks are real. Kind of, I've been watching the Reading Rainbow Marathon, the TV show, and getting it endorsed like that and having our show funneled in that way, you know, then we're not just relying, like you said, on this fishing industry. You know, you could use it there to get your repetitions in, but you could definitely venture out. You know, that's my idea. That's always going to be it, right? Like, why, you know, if you can, without stretching yourself so thin, so it's all relevant, you know, trying to reinvent it. Then that's where you start throwing our money around when you're trying to do more. But if you just take that core product, man, you take In-N-Out's got burger, shakes, and fries, man. You just push them burger, shakes, and fries like nobody else. You know, you could be big, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, and you mentioned a bunch of like moms and kids and stuff and sports. And I have a ton of people that use this stuff for their sports gear. Whether they're like, I literally have professional athletes using it, as well as kids, as well as adults. It's hilarious.
So again, are you packaging like, I'm not telling you how to do your thing, but are you packaging like all those testimonials? So when you go into Shark Tank, you got your patent, you got Community Kev, you got Community Kev using it, bro, on the TV show. I mean, you got some documentation on the show, me using it before I cooked the burgers, you know?
Well, I'm waiting for your written testimonial, sir.
Yeah, you got a video testimony. That's what people want to see, a little 30-second clip, you know?
Yeah, no, it's I'm stoked. I really appreciate the love. I really do. It's this industry has kind of opened my eyes, and it's funny that a couple of the people in this industry are also in other industries. And you know, one of the other vendors was like, "Hey, I used to be in the huge in the pet industry, and this stuff works for skunks. It works for dogs, cats, all that stuff." He's all, "I'm gonna push you to that industry." Yeah. So you never know. I mean, you might find my product white labeled one day by one of these big companies out here in the fishing industry, and I just become the manufacturer like I wanted to do, and go tackle another industry and still go out there fishing with all y'all and just have it, you know, have someone else pushing the same product for the fishing industry. I'm one guy. I can't do 15 industries. I can't do 3 industries.
But that's the American dream, bro. And that's the way you should. That's what we teach here at the Real Angler Network when we do our mentorship and development training, is to think that big, you know. And what resources do you need? And there's nothing wrong with finding an investor. Again, if you're making a decent chunk without doing the work, I want mailbox money. I just get mailbox money, you know.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? You know, you got to hold on to it forever. If you can find an exit strategy, get paid, put it up, and still get a residual, and move on to something else to get another residual. You got 5 residuals coming in while you just fishing the world.
That's the goal. That's the goal, my friend.
That's why when we started, we talked about being lucky. When we tie the business and the visionary aspect of it, when we do our interviews like this with different people like yourself, you know, not everybody that comes on here is a visionary, right? We have other business folk and different people from the industry, or people that are local, and we have all kinds of different people in different topics. But as far as, again, taking off our fishing hat and putting on visionary hat, you know, that's what we teach here. Why don't you have ownership? Tonight or tomorrow we have a bank that comes in and teaches about financial literacy. So if you do need to borrow credit, you could use that for your business, because then you're not paying your money, but you got capital that you could utilize. So you can be your own funder. You know, what's capital look like? So you have some money to put into what you want, you know, and stuff like that. So that's important. That's what we teach here, and that's why I'm all fired up about it, because, you know, I don't think we get enough education on thinking that big, you know, to how do you really maximize and own it and partner and do all this other stuff that could really set you and your family and your legacy up versus just going to work for somebody every day that's already thought about that, right? I told the kids on the boat the other day, you're either working for your dream or you're working for somebody else's, bro. But that's the way the world is. And if they're working, and when you're working here with Kev, my idea is to help leapfrog you to do whatever you're going to do at that level. You're only here temporarily, I know, but when you take with these transferable skills and some of this doctrine and some of this philosophy, again, you could change your mind shift, man, of what you could really be.
I'm there with you. In fact, I'll probably end up tuning into that to learn a couple pointers on getting some more funding, because that's really what gets you to the next level.
We know what it is, bro. It's the mindset of knowing that there's an abundance out there. That's what they're going to teach. That's what they show. You live in a mindset of scarcity, and it's hard to do, and it can't be done. That's why I said before. Let's talk about, you didn't just get lucky. You invested at the get-go. You got to invest for 5 years. Let's talk about that, right? So that way you know what you're signing yourself up for, so you don't get frustrated and quit. But to know that there is a eureka moment if you don't give up, But again, how do you get some of those resources to help you fund it, And you have some people that say, yeah, I'll donate for 5%. Were you willing to give up, a bit of your idea for 5% for the right guidance, and somebody else is helping you with their resources to get there? Oh yeah, of course I would. Okay, perfect. Yeah. But for you to hear that language and understand that, how many people are talking about that at their dinner table in our generation or with our heritage backgrounds,
Not
so we have that kind of combo. A lot of admirable go to work and make sure you take care of your family. But okay, what do I want to take care of my grandchildren? I want to set that up. Oh, wait a minute. Kevin, what's the matter? Nobody talk about that, Okay, well, let's do it.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, up in here. Don't get me preaching. But we're already at 45. We're at 45 minutes, so we got to wrap it up. Anything you want to throw in? Anything coming up? I know we're going to meet at ICAST, set up a meeting because I'm coming to you to talk about partnerships, about stuff. I'm really proud of you, man. I know you asked me before, seeing you grow, talking to you, man. You're on the right projectorial scale, man. I'm real happy to see where you're going with this thing, man, and what you're doing. Stay on track, bro. Whether you're not got a pocket full of money yet, bro, the way that you're going and what you're doing everything I believe is successful. Because in a couple of years only, that's not bad, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So if you guys are all going to ICAST, any of you, stop by my booth, 5616. If you guys want just your own bottles, come by and come to the website, somethingsfishy.net, miraclemistinc.net, and somethingsbuggin.com. And then you were talking about kind of diversifying and so I relabeled my citrus product Odonix, ODONIX, for all the soccer moms and all the smokers out there and the people that don't understand something's fishy and don't get it and say, hey, well, I'm not a fisherman and I don't want to smell like fish. So that's why I relabeled it, rebranded it as Odonix, and it's a nice orange and white label, and it screams clean on it. You know what I mean? So I relabeled it for all the other industries already. So that's pretty much what I've been doing there.
No, we have a visitor. Hold on real quick.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, it's the guy that fixed the computer. Come on in, man. All right, so yeah, we got to wrap it up here pretty soon because he's here to check our computer's running slow. So we got to get on that part. But yeah, I'll see you 5616. We'll talk more about it. We're running into the 50-minute mark right now. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you in, I think, 35 days. Did you get an Airbnb or were you staying out there?
I still got to get my hotel or Airbnb. I think I'm going to stay at the Westgate Lakes right there because they got a little lake that I could go fishing.
Yeah, I'll be at the Westlake Resort Airbnb.
Oh, right. Oh, really? I didn't know there was an Airbnb.
They got the lazy river, bro. I'm gonna be out there in my motherfucking khaki bikini.
Send me the link. Maybe I'll get there yet. But I forgot to mention my social media links are all Something's Fishy 2020. Follow me there. Send me any messages. I love to talk to people. I'm a human being. As you can see, I'm not corporate.
Nope. All right, my friend. Again, congratulations on all your success. Let's talk we'll see you in about 5 weeks in Florida.
You got it, brother. I appreciate everything you guys do, and thank you for having me on the show.
Hell yeah. All right, brother.
Something's fishy, don't let it be you.
Let's go.
You know it.
To learn more about Real Guppy Outdoors, please visit www.communitykevin.com. Brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Island Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.